Hi everyone, it's adrienneleaa. This video is going to be a review of the Druid Plant Oracle by Philip and Stephanie Cargome and illustrations by Will Worthington. So this is the box. This is the newer release. This box is really sturdy. It's soft and smooth and it's matte. So they do have some, well, the box has some cards featured on it. The front of the box is Primrose, and then you see cards on the sides and on the back. And for this side, you have this design here, which is on the backs of the cards. So the box opens up like this. It comes with a spreadsheet, which is very large. It has a spread on both sides. This is the book. I am going to go into the book, but mainly when I go through the cards. So I'll be referencing this. These are the cards. They are large. They have a thinner cardstock, but I think that this works for the size of the cards. These are the same size as the Druid Animal Oracle, and they're larger than the Druid Craft Tarot. So what really drew me to this deck is that it connects to what I studied in school, which is herbalism, and it really intrigued me. I feel like this is an amazing resource to not only learn the metaphysical and medicinal properties of the plants, but also be able to use these cards for maybe plant identification. Of course, there's multiple species, but this is concentrated on the Druid plants. So this is specifically in the areas where they would be practicing. So with the book, I was also really interested in seeing what the book was like. It kind of reminds me of Materia Medica, which you would find in homeopathy, and I'll just bring up the book quickly. So it does talk about herbs connecting to clinical practices. There are a couple of things that you can find in Materia Medica. So this book also offers that. It isn't as formatted, which is why I highlighted and put notes here, but it doesn't deter me from not using the book because it does have a lot of information that is usable. So here you have the name as well as the Gaelic name. There is the scientific name, and these are some things that you would look into when you go into a Materia Medica, with the scientific name being the universal name. So what it would go by if you were to research that. It also has some common names. So common names would be what it would be in general regions of the world, which is interesting because they can also tell you some things about the plant too. So it can hint on those things, and even what the looks of the plant are, generally. It does have the origins, so where the plant comes from. It can talk about the geographic distributions of the plant, so after that, where it went, or what the journey was. It talks about the actual physical features of the plant, how it feels, what's the measurements, what it looks like. And again, these are specific to the deck. So there are different species of the plant. So the scientific name is generally the genus and species. And where they can grow. So we have mistletoe here. Mistletoe is a parasitic plant, so it latches on to its host, and then it gets the nutrients from the host. So it does mention that there are interesting things in this book, but those are some things that you would find in a Materia Medica. Also, the clinical practices of it, what the doses would be, what are the metaphysical properties, or I'm sorry, the medicinal properties, some of the history that goes with the plant, and whatever regions they're referring to. So this offers a lot of that information. And aside from that, it has the upright and the reversed meaning, and reversed if you want to use that. So there is some history, especially with the lore of that associates with Druidry. So, and then with that, sometimes it links to the metaphysical property. So what can it do in I don't want to say magical way, but if I come to a word that I think of, then I'll say it. So there's also different symbology in here, and what you can link it to when you're reading the message. So with mistletoe, it talks about having long nights. It talks about new beginnings and phases in your life. Rebirth of the sun and the birth of Mabon. And with the reverse meaning, it also has some of that information in there too. So it really links to the history of the plant, the lore that it has, some of the features, some of the things that it does. So those are things that are really nice to have in this book. And it does have a section after the reversed and the upright meaning. So this goes more into it, but it's more around the world if it does associate with different parts of the world. And it has what it was referred to before, like the nickname, what the people in the past have done with the plant. So it's really interesting, and I am just intrigued by it. I do like looking at this book. So I'm hoping that you guys got a glimpse into what this book offers, because it can be a wonderful resource for those who are interested in herbs, so, or plants in general. With the cards, as I said, there is a section where it talks about what the card shows. So you see that there could be animals around. There's certain regions or climates that it would be in. This has more than one plant in the card. Even Ogham associations. And even the animals can hint, and the background and the sky can hint what the meaning could be of the card. Now you can use this in a way where you don't have to look at the plant or you don't have to look at the book, but you can use it more intuitively. But if you would like to learn more about the plant, then that would be nice to do too. There are a couple of blank cards in here. So woad is generally associated with warriorhood in the book. That's one of the meanings. Another blank. So this has multiple plants on here. This is associated with health. Now I'm going to give like basis of what the card could mean, but it could be different in any reading. So with clovers, I found it really interesting that they were talking about St. Patrick and that he was dispelling snakes with clovers. And the artwork is amazing. So there is more than what meets the eye, because there's more mushrooms here than the puffball. The book does mention if it's say a hallucinogenic type of plant. Specific features like that, like the banes, what to look out for. Even the scent of the banes, and that card has multiple plants on there too. And mistletoe, this is a beautiful card because it has the bird that is the missile thrush, and it eats the berries, and then it has a high viscosity, so it wipes its beak off with the juice because the berries are toxic. Ferns always intrigued me. They are a bit intimidating. They are referred to as the life force in the book too, because they have been around for a long time. So reading with plants are really fun when you get some information about them, or you look at the plant and it reminds you of something. Like lady's mantle is a feminine plant. Matter, you see there's a cloth at the top, so it's associated with red dye, and even a goddess, so there's the feminine energy associated with that. You have Bridget's cross with wheat. Fir club moss being a fire starter. Poppy, even the reversal, it kind of like hints to not take too much of it. Yarrow being a masculine plant. It even says what type of plant that they are. Burdock, this was a fun one because it latches on to whatever crosses it if you brush up against it, and then it can carry on. So that could be like related to burdens. It could relate to different areas of your life that you might need to let go, or it might be an irritation to you. Celtic bean, fertility. This one I associate with protection. There's also more than one association, and it could, maybe it's not listed in here, but that's what you go with. So whatever makes sense to you. You have mandrake. I love the flowers on here. Primrose in the front of the card. And I'll give again some examples of what I think is interesting. I think Heather has become one of my favorites, and Vervain. Bethany is a nice one when you know that the meaning could be behind it, that you could be reconciling with disputes, obstacles could be resolved in that way. I'm sorry, I'm just showing you the cards again. Ivy with the berries. Ivy is also considered a parasitic plant, but it doesn't need to latch onto its host. It can rely on itself. So that could link to independence. I didn't really see that specifically in the book, but you could do that. Again, with woad, there is a war here, so that could be an aggressiveness coming out of this. But you see the spear there. Nettle, also known as stinging nettle, and that even though that you may get that sting in the beginning, that irritation, that there's kind of like a blessing in disguise. There's something beneath it that will be beneficial to you. And you have the butterfly and you have the snake, which can be the butterfly can be metamorphosis, some type of transformation, the snake being knowledge, if you think about it like that. It can also refer to like a reversal, and there's so much to see in here. I really like this card, the Restorers. Well, I was saying Lady's Mantle before, how there's water there, or the dew, and it has like a feminine shape to it with the womb. Similar to structures, how they got it off of like the womb being a soft structure and then a masculine one being more pointed. Garlic was an interesting one because it does talk about food and it talks about the flavoring of food. So to be able to incorporate something in the mixture to make it even better than it was before. And cuckoo pin, which is a whole. Being balanced, this can represent the masculine and the feminine. So here's Ivy again. I do keep it with my Spirit of Nature Oracle. They fit in the same bag. This was originally for the Druid Plant Oracle though. So thank you guys so much for watching. I hope that was easy to follow and you got some things from this. If you want to take this out in nature and see if you can find plants and use this as a plant identification type of deck, that'd be cool too. You would like to hone into your practice more. So there's a lot of things that you can do with this deck. So thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you in another video.